Hi, everyone. My name is Lynn, and I work at East Los Angeles College. Let me stop the music. And I am the coordinator for a center called One Zone. And One Zone is a support and retention center for our LGBTQ students. And is, um, it will be located in the F5 building, which is the Student Union building on campus. When we're able to return to campus. Of course, we're in this virtual world, so we don't know when we'll be able to return to campus, but I'm at home. This is my house. Um, so what I've been doing from home is offering services like this, where I'm holding space for LGBTQ students. And I can provide support services and help students navigate the system. And I know it can be a little confusing for students when they're trying to navigate the online world. So I can really help direct. Here comes my cat, Pilar. She loves when I'm on the computer recording. Right, Peely? Right, Mama? So anyway, yeah, I can help students navigate the system. Oh, I had started the coffee and sounds like it stopped. So I'm going to turn the music on. I'm listening to K-Jazz, 88.1, a live radio station. Oh, there's Pilar now. Hi, baby girl. I'm going to read some from this book called Sister Outsider. I've been reading weekly also on Facebook, so I've been doing that Wednesdays, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. and then Tuesdays at 10 a.m. holding this coffee hour for LGBTQ students. The live reading I've been doing on Facebook, so that you don't have to register or anything. You can just automatically click on the One Zone Facebook account to see the reading. But like as I mentioned, I'm going to go grab a cup of coffee. Here's Charlie Bird, the duck, and Pilar, and I'll be right back.
KJazz 88.1, Charlie Bird with Opato. That's Latin Impressions from 1963. And Dave Brubeck opening up the 10 o'clock hour with Basin Street Blues. That's from the album Gone with the Wind, year 1959. KJazz is celebrating Dave Brubeck's 100th birthday. That'll be on December 6, 2020. Good morning, this is David Benoit. Ray Blue is up now. Let's listen to Sweet Emma.
I'm almost done making my coffee, guys. Gotta plan this better next time, I guess. So I'm back. I also grabbed a snack. Some sea salt caramel popcorn to have with my coffee. This stuff is addicting. Okay, anyway. I'm having a vanilla nut coffee. Really, really good. Let's see what Audre Lorde has to say for us. Okay, let me stop the music. With my bookmark, I'm going to read an excerpt from this book. It's called Sister Outsider, and it's a collection of short stories and poems compiled to make a book for Audre Lorde. And a lot of it is stuff that was published in the 70s, as with this article says it was first published as The Great American Disease in the Black Scholar, volume 10, number 9, in May, June 1979. So even though it's stuff like from the 70s or 79, that's late 70s, it's still stuff that's really relevant to what's happening to today, which is kind of sad and amazing in a way. There's a car alarm going off. It seems like always when you want to record something, there's always something going on. Like my wife decided now was a good time to take a shower, of course. I'm sure you heard the water running. Car alarm going off. Let's see. There we go. Maybe that'll help. Anyway, so it's Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde, and this is called Sexism, an American Disease and Blackface. And here's the book. And this is one of the books, but this is one of the services that we'll have as part of the center, and that is a lending, LGBTQ plus focused lending library or checkout system for books that you would be able to use within the center there and check out for a little bit of time. We're building the library, but because I'm at home, I do own some of the books, so I've just really started with those and breaking down what's happening. But as I said, I'm going to read this. And it's called Sexism, an American Disease and Blackface. And as I said, it was first published in 1979. Black feminism is not white feminism in blackface. Black women have particular and legitimate issues which affect our lives as Black women, and addressing those issues does not make us any less Black. To attempt to open dialogue between Black women and Black men by attacking Black feminists seems short-sighted and self-defeating. Yet, this is what Robert Staples, Black sociologist, has done in The Black Scholar. Oh, so she wrote this as a response to an article to The Black Scholar in 1979. Anyway, despite our recent economic gains, Black women are still the lowest paid group in the nation by sex and race. That's still true today. This gives some idea of the inequity from which we started. In Staples' own words, Black women in 1979 only threatened to overtake Black men by the next century in education, occupation, and income. In other words, the inequity is self-evident, but how is it justifiable? Black feminists speak as women because we are women and do not need others to speak for us. It is for Black men to speak up and tell us why and how their manhood is so threatened that Black women should be the prime targets of their justifiable rage. What correct analysis of this capitalist dragon within which we live can legitimize the rape of Black women by Black men? At least Black feminists and other Black women have begun this much needed dialogue, however bitter our words. At least we are not mowing down our brothers in the street or bludgeoning them to death with hammers, yet we recognize the fallacies of separatist solutions. Staples pleads his cause by saying capitalism has left the Black man only his penis for fulfillment and a curious rage. Is this rage any more legitimate than the rage of a Black woman? And why are Black women supposed to absorb that male rage in silence? Why isn't that male rage turned upon those forces which limit his fulfillment? namely capitalism. Staples sees in Shang's play for colored girls a collective appetite for black male blood. Yet it is my it is my female children and my black sisters. I have a dog. And my black sisters who lie bleeding all around me, victims of the appetites of our brothers. Mochi, stop. Mommy's trying to do something. Seems like a good time for some coffee sips. Play for colored girls, a collective appetite for black male blood. Yet it's my female children and my black sisters who lie bleeding all around me, victims of the appetites of our brothers. Into what theoretical analysis would Staples fit Patricia Cowan? She answered an ad in Detroit for a black actress to audition in a play called Hammer. As she acted out an argument scene watched by the playwright's brother and her 4-year-old son, the black male playwright picked up a sledgehammer and bludgeoned her to death. Will Staples' compassion for misguided black men bring this young mother back or make her senseless death more acceptable? God, that's horrible. Black men's feelings of cancellation, their grievances, and their fear of vulnerability must be talked about, but not by Black women when it is the expense of our own curious rage. If this society ascribes roles to Black men which they are not allowed to fulfill, it is Black women who must bend and alter our lives to compensate, or it is society that needs changing. And why should Black men accept these roles as correct ones, or anything other than a narcotic promise encouraging acceptance of other facets of their oppression? One tool of the great American doublethink is to blame the victim for victimization. Black people are said to invite lynching by not knowing our place. Black women are said to invite rape and murder and abuse by not being submissive enough, or by being too seductive or too ... Staples' fact that Black women get their sense of fulfillment from having children is only a fact when stated out of the mouths of Black men. And any Black person in this country, even a happily married woman who has no pent-up frustration that needs release, is either a fool or insane. This smacks of the oldest sexist canard of all time, that a woman needs to keep her quiet is a good man. File that one alongside my best friends, what some of my best friends are. Instead of beginning the much needed dialogue between Black men and Black women, Staples retreats to a defensive stance reminiscent of white liberals of the 60s, many of whom saw any statement of Black pride and self-assertion as an automatic threat to their own identity and an attempt to wipe them out. Here, we have an intelligent Black man believing, or at least saying, that any call to Black women to love ourselves, and no one said only, is a denial of or a threat to his Black male identity. In this country, Black women traditionally have had compassion for everybody else except ourselves. We have cared for whites because we had to, for pay or for survival. We have cared for our children and our fathers and our brothers and our lovers. History and popular culture, as well as our personal lives, are full of tales of Black women who had compassion for misguided Black men. Our scarred, broken, battered, and dead daughters and sisters are a mute testament to that reality. We need to learn to have care and compassion for ourselves also. What a great statement, right? So she's totally advocating for self-care right there, saying you have to take care of yourself before you can give care to all of these people. In the light of what Black women often willingly sacrifice for our children and our men, this is a much needed exhortation, no matter what illegitimate use the white media makes of it. This call for self-value and self-love is quite different than narcissism, as Staples must certainly realize. Narcissism comes not out of self-love, but out of self-hatred. The lack of a reasonable and articulate Black male viewpoint on these questions is not the responsibility of Black women. We have too often been expected to be all things to all people and speak everyone else's position but our very own. Black men are not so passive that they must have Black women speak for them. Even my 14-year-old son knows that. Black men themselves must examine and articulate their own desires and positions and stand by the conclusions thereof. No point is served by a Black male professional who merely whines at the absence of his viewpoint in Black women's work. Oppressors always expect the oppressed to extend to them the understanding so lacking in themselves. That bears a repeat. Oppressors always expect the oppressed to extend to them the understanding so lacking in themselves. For Staples to suggest, for instance, that Black men leave their families as a form of male protest against female decision-making in the home is the indirect contradiction to his own observations in the myth of the Black matriarchy, which is asterisked and says that that was published in 1970. Now, I'm sure there will be some Black men who marry white women because they feel a white woman can better fit the model of femininity set forth in this country. But for Staples to justify that act using the reasons it occurs and take Black women to task for it is not only another error in reasoning, it's like justifying the actions of a lemming who follows its companions over the cliff to sure death. Because it happens does not mean it should happen, nor is it functional for the well-being of the individual nor the group. It is not the destiny of Black America to repeat white America's mistakes, but we will if we mistake the trappings of success in a sick society for the signs of a meaningful life. Whoa, I need a sip of coffee for that. If Black men continue to define femininity instead of their own desires, and to do it in archaic European terms, they restrict our access to each other's energies. Freedom and future for Blacks does not mean absorbing the dominant white male disease of sexism. As Black women and men, we cannot hope to begin dialogue by denying the oppressive nature of male privilege. And if Black males choose to assume that privilege for whatever reason, raping, brutalizing, and killing Black women, then ignoring these acts of Black male oppression within our communities can only serve as our destroyers. One oppression does not justify another. It has been said that Black men cannot be denied their personal choice of the woman who meets their need to dominate. In that case, Black women who also cannot be denied our personal choice. And those choices are becoming increasingly self-assertive and female-oriented. As a people, we most certainly must work together. It would be short-sighted to believe that Black men alone are to blame for the above situations in a society dominated by white male privilege. But the Black male consciousness must be raised to the realization that sexism and woman-hating are critically dysfunctional to his liberation as a Black man because they arise out of the same constellation that engenders racism and homophobia. Until that consciousness is developed, Black men will view sexism and the destruction of Black women as tangential to Black liberation rather than central to that struggle. So long as this occurs, we will never, hello, we had a wife sighting, that was my wife Ann. So long as this occurs, we will never be able to embark upon that dialogue between Black women and Black men that is so essential to our survival as a people. This continued blindness between us can only serve the oppressive system within which we live. Men avoid women's observations by accusing us of being too visceral. But no amount of understanding the roots of Black woman hating will bring back Patricia Cowan, nor mute her family's loss. Pain is very visceral, particularly to the people who are hurting. As the poet Mary McAnally said, pain teaches us to take our fingers out of the fucking fire. In case you didn't know. If the problems of Black women are only derivatives of a larger contradiction between capital and labor, then so is racism. And both must be fought by all of us. The capitalist structure is a many-headed monster. I might add here that in no socialist country that I have visited have I found an absence of racism or of sexism. So the eradication of both of these diseases seems to involve more than the abolition of capitalism as an institution. No reasonable Black men can possibly condone the rape and slaughter of Black women by Black men as a fitting response to capitalist oppression, and destruction of Black women by Black men clearly cuts across all class lines. Whatever the structural underpinnings, staples for sexism in the Black community may be, it is obviously Black women who are bearing the brunt of that sexism. And so it is our best interest to abolish it. We invite our Black brothers to join us, since ultimately that abolition is in their best interest also. For Black men are also diminished by a sexism which robs them of sorry, and started dragging something in and I had to stop and see what it was. Since ultimately it's in their best interest also. For Black men are also diminished by a sexism which robs them of meaningful connections to Black women and our struggles. Since it is Black women who are being abused, however, and since it is our female blood that is being shed, it is for Black women to decide whether or not sexism in the Black community is pathological. And we do not approach that discussion theoretically. Those creative relationships which Staples speaks about within the Black community are also invariably those which operate to the benefit of Black males, given the Black male-female ratio and the implied power balance within a supply and demand situation. Polygamy is seen as creative, but a lesbian relationship is not. This is much the same as how the creative relationships between master and slave were always those benefiting the master. The results of woman hating in the Black community are tragedies which diminish all Black people. These acts must be seen in the context of a systematic devaluation of Black women within this society. It is within this context that we become approved and acceptable targets for Black male rage. So acceptable that even a Black male social scientist condones and excuses this depersonalizing abuse. This abuse is no longer acceptable to Black women in the name of solidarity, nor of Black liberation. Any dialogue between Black women and Black men must begin there, no matter where it ends. I just love Audre Lorde. That was the end of that essay that she wrote. Let's see, 10:38. I think it's time for some coffee. So I hope wherever you are that you're finding peace and love and happiness, acceptance.
Here's her, if you want to read a poem or two.
Oh, Anne was just reminding me that we have
The Collected Poems of Audre Lorde.
Yeah.
I mean, just open it to anyone, and they're all great.
A Trip on the Staten Island Ferry. Have you ever been on the Staten Island Ferry? It's fabulous. Get to go right past the Statue of Liberty. It's
Ellis
great.
Island.
Yeah, you go right past Ellis Island. A Trip on the Staten Island Ferry. Dear Jono, there are pigeons who nest on the Staten Island Ferry and raise their young between the moving decks and never touch a shore. Every voyage is a journey. Cherish this city, left you by default. Included in your daydreams, there are still secrets in the streets. Even I have not discovered. Who knows if the old men who shine shoes on the Staten Island Ferry carry their world in a box slung across their shoulders, if they carry their lunch with birds flying back and forth upon an endless journey, if they ever find their way back home. And when I was on the Staten Island Ferry, there was somebody on there shining shoes still.
What year was that?
I don't remember. It was in the 90s anyway. This one is called Now. Woman power is Black power, is human power, is always feeling. My heart beats as my eyes open, as my hands move, as my mouth speaks. I am, are you, ready? I love her.
It's a great book.
This one's called Generation. How the young attempt and are broken differs from age to age. We are brown, free girls, love singing beneath our skin, sun in our hair, in our eyes, sun, our fortune, and the wind had made us golden, made us gay. In a season of limited power, we wept out our promises, and these are the children we try now for temptations that wear our face. But who comes back from our latched cities of falsehood to warn them that the road to nowhere is slippery with our blood, to warn them they need not drink the river to get home, since we have purchased bridges with our mother's bloody gold. For now we are more than kin, who come to share not only blood, but the bloodiness of our failures. How the young are tempted and betrayed into slaughter or conformity is a turn of the mirror, time's only question. Ooh, she got deep there. Yeah. So if you've never checked out Audre Lorde, you really have to. I could really read every single poem in this book to you. And that's why I bought it. Because they're ones that you want to read over and over again. It's not like something you would read and just, put down. Especially if you love books, you want to have some Audre Lorde poetry for sure. I saw one go by that I wanted to read to you, but I can't see it now. It's called Coping. It has rained for 5 days. Running the world is a round puddle of sunless water where small islands are only beginning. To cope, a young boy in my garden is bailing out water from his flower patch. When I ask him why, he tells me, young seeds that have not seen sun forget and drown easily. I got chills on that one. I gotta have a sip of coffee.
Okay, come this down. This is a tiny space.
My wife Anne is joining us. Seems she's brought a coloring book. There she is.
I bought a small one. Actually, it's a pretty good one. It's called, I don't know if you can see it well, The Mindfulness Coloring Book. This is volume 2. Volume 1 was also great. You can find it on Amazon. This is a good one, like if you're going to take a plane ride or something. And it has all kinds of things. I mean, anyway. I think it's nice to just like pick a color that you like and just start coloring with it. You don't have to be an artist. Just read anyone. That's a good one.
This one's called Between Ourselves. Once when I walked into a room, my eyes would seek out one or two black faces. For contact or reassurance or a sign, I was not alone. Now walking into rooms full of black faces that would destroy me for any difference, where shall my eyes look? Once it was easy to know who were my people. Wow. If we were stripped to our strength of all pretense and our flesh was cut away, and the sun would bleach all our bones as white as the face of my black mother was bleached white by gold or shala, or how does that measure me? I do not believe our wants have made all our lies holy. Under the sun on the shores of Elmina, a black man sold the woman who carried my grandmother in her belly. He was paid with bright yellow coin that shone in the evening sun and in the faces of her sons and daughters. When I see that brother behind my eyes, his irises are bloodless and without color. His tongue clicks like yellow coins tossed up on the shore, and where we share the same corner of an alien and corrupted heaven, and whenever I try to eat.
Mm. She's
Mm.
very intense, but very beautiful. Oh, was that not the whole thing?
No. Yeah, there was more.
Well, that was a good place to stop.
Yeah,
I saw
it was
one on there.
intense.
Why don't you look through the there's one called Spring.
This one is called Neighbors. We made strong poems for each other, exchanging formulas for our own particular magic, all the time pretending we were not really witches. And each time we would miss some small ingredient, that one last detail that would make the spell work. Each one of us, too busy hearing our other voices, the sound of our own guards, calling the watch at midnight, assuring us we were still safely asleep. So when it came time to practice what we had learned, one grain was always missing, one word unsaid. So the pot did not boil, the sweet milk would curdle, or the bright wound went on bleeding. And each of us would go back to her own particular magic, confirmed believing she was always alone, believing the other was always lying in wait. Teacher. How about this one? Good mirrors are not cheap. It is a waste of time hating a mirror or its reflection instead of stopping the hand that makes glass with distortions, slight enough to pass unnoticed until one day you peer into your face under a merciless white light and the fault in a mirror slaps back, becoming what you think is the shape of your error. And I am beside that self. You destroy me. Or if you can see the mirror is lying, you shatter the glass, choosing another blindness and slashed helpless hands. Because at the same time, down the street, a glassmaker is grinning, turning out new mirrors that lie, selling us new clowns at cut rate. Ooh. What'd you go find, Anne?
This is Langston Hughes.
Oh. I'm going to read something to us.
The one that I really like, well, of course, they're all great poems, but the first one is that I ever read, was one that my instructor gave us when I was in high school on like they used to print stuff out on mimeographs, these machines and they use this chemical that you were like reading it. Hmm. I'll just read this little short one here. Words like freedom. There are words like freedom, sweet and wonderful to say. On my heartstrings, freedom sings all day, every day. There are words like liberty that almost make me cry. If you had known what I know, you would know why. That was very short,
Yeah.
but very. I'm going to say intense, but that's such a. Ooh. Some of them are actually kind of scary. Like this one is just called Ku Klux. I'm not going to read it because it's scary. But this one, I like this one called Daybreak in Alabama. Do you want to read it?
No, go ahead.
When I get to be a composer, I'm going to write me some music about daybreak in Alabama. And I'm going to put the prettiest songs in it, rising out of the ground like a swamp mist and falling out of heaven like soft dew. I'm going to put some tall trees in it and the scent of pine needles and the smell of red clay after rain and long red necks and poppy-colored faces and big brown arms and the field daisy eyes of black and white, black people. And I'm going to put white hands and black hands and brown and yellow hands and red clay earth hands in it, touching everybody with kind fingers and touching each other natural as dew in that morning of music when I get to be a composer and write about daybreak in Alabama. That sounds like it could be a good song.
Yeah.
That's why stuff that, to me, if something's ever been relevant, it's still relevant. I can't remember that one is. I can't see. Anyway, to not waste time on. Did you want something else?
Oh.
All I know is it. Well, it goes. I think it's called. Hold fast. And it goes something like, hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams. I don't remember the rest.
I think we heard that recently, someone reading that.
Yeah, because it's like his most.
Wow, we just had like hummingbirds zoom through our patio, and it sounded like a 747 going by.
Well, I'm telling you, like when I was in high school in like 1970, one of my instructors gave it to us. She just copied it out of the book, which you ain't supposed to do. But this one is called I Too. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, They'll say how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. I like that one too.
Yeah. I guess wow becomes old after a while, but I
Yeah.
want to say wow after everyone. Wow.
Or Margaret, that was intense.
Yeah.
This one's called Soledad, a Cuban portrait. The shadows of too many nights of love have fallen beneath your eyes. Your eyes so full of pain and passion, so full of lies, so full of pain and passion. Soledad, so deeply scarred, so still with silent cries. That's real pretty.
So what is this book called that you're reading from?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is it's a okay, it's every man's library. It's a group or whatever that puts out, make sure that literature like this stays stays published, you know.
Stays
So
in circulation.
right, but stays published, not just like falls away and you can't find it anymore, because that's what happens. And this is so, but they put out like a whole ones from all different kinds of people, like this Langston Hughes. This is kind of a small one. You could keep it in your backpack or something. It's about 7 inches.
So, but it's like a collected poems of Langston Hughes.
Yes.
A collection of poems
Yes.
from Langston Hughes. And then again, I was reading from before a book that was collected poems of Audre Lorde. And I also read you a short story out of a book, Audre Lorde also, Sister Outsider. I don't remember if Langston Hughes is on my list or not, but if he's not, he should be.
Well, because he was does it say it here? Well, for instance, he first published these poems in like 1954. Okay. So this is like the 17th printing. Oh, I was gonna grab that other one.
Oh, it's okay. So basically my point was that these are books that will be focusing specifically on books, authors that are LGBTQ focused, centralized, however you want to say it, self-identified. So I definitely will have books by Audre Lorde. So we'll be back next Tuesday at 10 o'clock doing essentially the same thing. I'll try to have, some of the kinks worked out, like maybe my wife could not be showering when we're first starting this thing, and maybe we can have the coffee ready so you're not staring at Pilar's butt while I go get the coffee. Yeah, you'll see the video. Pilar got up here and walked back and forth, and I said, I'm gonna go make coffee. And I looked back and it was just her butt sticking in front of her.
That's
So
just
anyway,
wrong.
Yeah, but that's Pilar. That's how it goes when you have a cat, right?
Yeah, no, she sees the computer on, she's like,
Yeah, I gotta get over there and say hi to everyone.
like, I know there's somebody out there.
It's so funny and cute, but anyway, so
But annoying.
I just want to wish you peace and love wherever you are, and I hope that you are safe. And if you're not, please know that there are resources. Today on Instagram and Facebook, I released a photo with details on it for temporary housing. If you're struggling with housing, ELAC has worked with a facility that provides showers, and they're also going to start providing temporary housing. So if you need more information for that, my email is wood, WOOD, C as in cat, L as in Larry, it's woodcl at elac.edu. Feel free to email me and I'll forward you the flyer for the temporary housing. It's an application that you have to do. It's a simple Google application. And then also I know that not the college itself, but the first district, Hilda Solis, is sponsoring food giveaways. So if you're struggling with food insecurity, please know that there are resources available in the first district, which is the area right around the college. So if you need resources beyond that, because I do know that, of course, our students live beyond just right around the college, I can help you access resources within the entire SPA 7. So that Service Planning Area 7, it reaches all the way from, it doesn't include Boyle Heights, of course, because that's unincorporated, but it includes Monterey Park and going all the way out to Santa Fe Springs. So it's a network of resources and individuals that I have access to, and I can help you get access to as well. So I know Eastmont Center provides access to meals, as well as in First District, it's a senior center on Sunil. They also provide meals. You don't have to be a senior to get a meal there. You just have to show up. And again, my email is woodcl@elac.edu, and my name is Lynn Wood, and I'm a student services assistant at East Los Angeles College, and I'm the coordinator for One Zone. It's an LGBTQ plus resource retention center at East Los Angeles College. We're in a virtual world, so I'm in my house and doing what I can from home. But I would definitely love to connect and support you however you can. This is my wife, Anne. She's been here reading poetry to us and coloring. Her favorite color is orange, so she's coloring with orange. And she was advocating you pick a color and just color with it.
Color with it, and it feels good.
And so I think with that, I'm going to sign off, and feel free to join me on Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the One Zone Facebook page. This Wednesday, it may be a little later than 3 p.m., but please know that on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I do have time scheduled 10 a.m. for this coffee hour resource sharing, where I will bring in resources as I'm able to, and then 3 p.m. on Wednesdays. But you can also reach me on Connex Ed, the Cranium Cafe. If you can't find any of these resources or information, you can always go to elac.edu and search One Zone, and my information will come up at how to connect with me via Connex Ed or social media. But again, thank you for joining me today, and we'll be back again next week. Thank you. Take care.